Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the Weplay Invitational round of 16. Now we are going to be jumping into the game between Dark Passage and Avalanche, another best of 3. As ever, I'm Metis, and this time around I'm going to be joined by Pulse. How's it going, man?
Going pretty well, thank you, Messers, and I'm really excited to see how these teams take the new changes. I saw some of the games from earlier on, and they were reacting pretty well, honestly, since it's still day one. I haven't even played a game yet. I've read the patch notes and kind of familiarized myself with it, but I don't have any idea what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, similar position to myself as well. I've been out all day, so when I came back and casted, I was like, oh yes, that's right, there's lots of patches and lots of changes. This should be quite interesting. But the first game, both supports kind of going in different ways. Obviously, as a jungler yourself, I'm sure you're going to keep a keen eye on how both junglers anticipate the changes coming in here with the extra camp and such. So it's going to be very interesting regardless.
Yeah, indeed. I think the biggest thing that kind of comes out to me with like the recent changes metas, especially for the junglers, the early vision which the lanes have available to them will basically diversify the kind of gank routes that you take early, and plus you can't get level 3 off both of the buffs, you also have to take a camp. So while it's not like as predictable to say like, well, they're probably going to go double buff and just gank top lane or gank bot lane, this time it's like, well, you have that early vision, but unless you go for that early invade, you can't get your vision, you know, necessarily in their jungle to get that early scout. So in many ways, it's a buff to junglers, but we'll have to see how this works out, and there's going to be more mind games available, so it's going to be difficult to read them.
I just know that I'm going to screw up at some point with Dark Passage. That one of their players is called Crystal Meth. I mean, that in itself is quite an interesting one to try casting. But Fabulous, of course, as ever, is going to be in their side. Naru, Holy Phoenix, and Holy Thoth. A team, though, that I've not seen a great deal of, Pulse, and I'm not sure if you have either, is Avalanche. Roldo, Kubos, Finite, MYW, and CLG.eu. We've casted a couple of these players before, but never in this lineup, so I'm not quite sure what to expect from them.
Yeah, not in this formation, and if anyone is curious as to why Avalanche Prime have a completely different lineup, it's because they disbanded, and now they have a new lineup, and it's apparently one of the teams they were scrimming quite frequently, so we really don't have any idea how this lineup will work out for them, but we'll see how they approach Dark Passage, who have been a team who have been together for a very long time, and they're a very solid team.
They are, yeah. They are one, if not the strongest Turkish team coming out here, and we've casted them a number of times in likes of the right invitational tournaments, and they've pretty much run rampant every time we've seen them there. So they're a very strong team. Again, not too sure what to expect from Avalanche, but one thing going in their favour has to be said, Pulse, is if they can adapt, if they can find their feet quickly on this new meta, they could end up claiming the scalp of Dark Passage. They could go ahead and upset in this game because there's so many changes to support, so many changes to jungle, plus just globally on some, I was going to say item changes, but also character changes too. So see if they come out strong here, see if they come out swinging.
That's a really good point, Messers, because now that we hit the new season and all these different changes, the teams that were strong pre-patch are not necessarily the teams that are going to be strong next patch. Certain strengths of certain players will definitely come through in these different changes, so it'd be very interesting to see which teams kind of emerge as the strong starters. But for the kind of short-term messes, we're going to see a lot of similar champions because that's what they're used to. There's no point diving in and just playing something completely random just to see how it goes. Stick to what you're good at and see if the kind of quirky pick from here to there works out much better than what you run conventionally. But Sona has been picked out, and talk about convention, that's basically what we see every game.
Yeah, Sona did get a change in the patch, just mainly AP scaling, if nothing else. Corki also got a change, so he is somewhat of a hit and miss buff, I would have to say. That he has got buffs in terms of his mana pool being reduced, the cost, I should say, of his abilities, but Phosphorus Bomb, now, it's kind of like Heimerdinger's Concussion Grenade. That's the kind of thought I get about it, that you actually throw it off now, it's no longer instant and it has to hit. So that's going to change the dynamics of Corki, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how AD carries actually pick him up now. Looks like they've switched over him though, so obviously with the issues of us being a few seconds behind, we may end up talking about champions that aren't relevant.
Yeah, indeed, and there's no real point to like playing Corki in this situation. We knew he was strong pre-patch, but the fact that he's had changes, well, yes, he's probably still strong, but we don't know that, the teams don't know that. Better to go with something that they know has not been changed and is a more safer pick, so that's what they're going to shoot for here. I feel that in the new patch, not only pushing champions are going to be strong, the likes of Shyvana, the likes of Sivir, which we saw last game, but indeed counter junglers as well, like Nunu, and also Shyvana if she chooses to go into that jungle role, and has indeed been logged in.
Well, this could be another Lucian. What's your timer at, Pulse? I have a feeling I'm quite a bit behind you here.
Possibly. I am at 45 seconds on the countdown currently for the opposing team.
Oh, so actually I'm way ahead of you then. That's quite strange, because you were talking about something I was like, oh, that hasn't happened for me yet, but maybe you're just mentioning about the other, or you are just literally a prophet, in which case I probably should ask you a lot more about what's going to happen. Or the lottery numbers, that would also be quite cool. But either way, Lucian and Zyro look to be getting picked up here from the team of Avalanche.
Yeah, I'll just predict those lottery numbers 15 seconds before they get drawn.
Thank you.
That'll be very useful.
Yeah, super useful.
But indeed, Lucian looks like he'll be brought out here, and Lucian is emerging as a very strong AD carry, huge amounts of burst, and strong trading potential in lane as well. Very difficult to lane against that, especially when you pair him up with someone who does a lot of damage as well as a support. So they will be pairing him up with Zyra, who fits that bill perfectly, and incidentally does very well against Sona, because she finds it very difficult to get anywhere near her without being grasping rooted.
Yeah, very good point. Plus, if Crescendo goes in, you'll just instantly see Stranglethorns come out, and it's very difficult to engage. On top of that, plus the fact, again, we're seeing this combination of Zyra with Jarvan, so super engage or disengage, as the case may be. Lucian is certainly stamping himself at the very top tier of AD carries, and Shen is just, well, Shen, he's always strong.
Yeah, and the fact that Avalanche is such a new lineup right now, we have no idea what their playstyle is. We know how strong these players are individually, but how they play as a team is completely alien to us, and probably indeed Dark Passage as well. They won't know what is going to be coming at them. At the moment, they're picking a very solid composition. They've got a bit of everything: strong team fight, strong disengage, decent laning phase, and also Shen to be really annoying in those situations where he split pushes and you're kind of pressuring an objective such as Baron in the later stages of the game. So at the moment, it's just a very solid composition, not really diversifying or going into any particular tree.
But we have a Graves lock-in. Now, Graves, going back to Season 2, was the most, or one of the most played AD carries. I'm personally main Graves. I love playing him. He's awesome. But there is no doubting that he fell off in terms of damage, in terms of power in Season 3. So the fact that Dark Passage are going for the Graves lock-in, for me, is very interesting. Maybe it's a change to the current meta that they feel he's just much more viable.
Indeed, and we have to remember these players are from, well, their Turkish team. They're going to have a different meta. Indeed, that's what we saw when we were casting the Bulgarian tournament metas. We were like, whoa, these picks are pretty different from what we see in EU West. So maybe that's just something that they found really works in their region. But Graves and Sona, I mean, that really is Season 2 lane right there. Such strong burst potential, and it's kind of like, well, they have a lot of range in their lane and they're going to be zoning Sona out, so we might as well just go all in, and then at level 6 we can just 100-0 either of them.
Yeah, that's very true, and we're going to see if that is going to be the case going into the first of the potential 3 games between Dark Passage and Avalanche. But just before we jump to the break, we have a giveaway for you guys watching. So if you'd like to be in contention to win a G300 gaming mouse, type in chat in Twitch !giveaway, and it will give you the next steps required for you to take to go ahead and bag yourself a free G300 gaming mouse. But while you guys do that, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. When we rejoin us, we'll be live for game number 1 in this best of 3.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Weplay Invitational rounds of 16 with the next best of 3 of Dark Passage and Avalanche. I am Pulse and I'm joined by Metas.
Hey Pulse, hey viewers, how is it going? I'm super hyped and super excited to see how this game plays off actually, because we haven't seen Dark Passage for a while, but every time we've casted and Pulse, it's been a very exciting game, but team to watch because of the way they play. They're hyper aggressive, they want to make plays across the board, and they have some incredibly individually talented players like Fabulous and Naru. Holy Phoenix is a very good AD carry, but I'm just going back to this Graves pick. It's a bit of a head scratcher for me. I can't quite figure it out.
Yeah, we were talking a lot in the break about it, and we were like, okay, so why's he picked it? He's got decent trading against Lucian, and Lucian excels at trading off against bot laners, but he should be able to slightly sustain him out when it comes to like a poke war, because his mana costs aren't as brutal as Lucian's, and Lucian might be able to just get whittled down because they're also running the Sonar, and when they hit level 6, they can just all in. But they're also playing against Zyra, who is basically the definition of disengage, so it's a curious pick. But it has ridiculous potential in terms of burst.
Yeah, I mean, what I've found as an AD carry player is that with Graves, I can mechanically play my best. He's very receptive and very responsive to stutter stepping, or orb walking as some people call it as well. Now, Holy Phoenix is an extremely good AD carry, so I can see it paying off for him. Plus, he's one of the tankiest AD carries because of his True Grit passive. Maybe these are determining factors, but interestingly enough, to go back to a conversation we had actually before the first game kicked off live today in that first best of 3, you did say that AD carries could very well actually prosper from going down utility tree. Look at that total biscuit of rejuvenation from Holy Phoenix. He seems to agree with you.
Yeah, indeed, there's no real reason to go past 9 points. You just pick up the 5 extra damage at level 1 and just go with that flat bonus. Maybe put 2 points into the defense tree for the reduced damage from champion auto attacks, and then just go all the way down the utility tree. You pick up the Biscuiteer Mastery, it means your pots are going to be stronger. Plus, now that Doran's Blade can also be picked up along with a health pot, it means that in laning phase, you're going to outtrade your opponent. I was having an interesting discussion with Spuddington actually during another break. We were saying, well, how efficiently would it work out going down utility versus going down defense? And in terms of like the early laning phase and in terms of straight up trading, going down utility will help you a lot more as an AD carry. And if we're going with that theory, which we were just talking about, Metas, if he is looking to just try and go blow for blow with Lucian, that definitely goes down that path.
Yeah, absolutely, because Graves, one of his main weaknesses right now is that he's quite susceptible early to mid game. If he's full item build late game, Graves does ridiculous damage, and plus the fact that he's quite tanky, he's just all round really, really good. But a lot of the AD carries just do much better than him in that early to mid stage. So if he is going down utility, not only would I expect him to put the points in the extra experience so he gets up quicker in terms of levels, but also if he's got the likes of mana up there as well, he can just look to play a bit more passive and spam away his buckshot to get last hits, plus of course his smokescreen. So it does make a lot of sense to go down utility, especially with AD carries like Graves.
Yeah, I agree completely. And we're looking also at Dark Passage's composition, which is very team fight heavy. You've got AoE basically from all of these characters, lots of CC, and you've got the cleanup potential from Fabulous, who is their playmaker up in that top lane, versus another strong team fight composition, but with a little more poke in the form of Jace and a form of disengage in the form of Zyra. So you have to feel, unless Dark Passage straight up initiate on them, get themselves a clean ace or pick up 4 or 3 people, then in a protracted engagement, if Avalanche doesn't like how it's going, disengage comes in the form of Zyra and they just get out of dodge. So in terms of that, in terms of those straight up 5 versus 5 team fights, they may hit some issues.
Yeah, I can definitely see that coming up on the horizon. The reason why we are currently on the pause screen and why you guys are sitting there patiently waiting is because apparently we have some disconnect issues. Naru quit and then hasn't reconnected. Holy Phoenix quit and reconnected, and then Naru reconnected again. So it's been somewhat of a strange few minutes, but the players are asking if each other are ready, so fingers crossed we'll be ready to go live very shortly.
Yeah, musical disconnects have in fact ended, and well, the team of Avalanche are in fact ready. They have confirmed that in chat, but we're still not launching, so we'll see what's up with that. Either way, I'm excited to see how the early game goes, because Dark Passage have definitely kind of got it in their minds that utility is the way to go. At least 3 of those players definitely doing that, picking up that Biscuiteer Mastery. So we'll see how this goes, and the game will be resuming.
Yep, so we do have the game coming about right now. Let's have a quick look across the board, see if we can have any early information. Well, the fact that Fabulous is stood at top lane would suggest to me that we're going to have the duo bot from Dark Passage. Not too sure what's going to happen on the reverse though. Yep, Finite and Roldo going down to bot, so I think it's going to be fairly standard openings.
Yeah, there's no real reason for any of these teams to swap up because it's favourable. In fact, the bot lane, now that I think about it, is more of a skill matchup than anything. And if they're looking to test that trading potential with the Biscuit from Holy Phoenix, why not just put your bot lane in the duo lane? And also Fabulous, he can definitely outplay that Shen in the top lane. He can go toe-to-toe with him. And in the mid lane, probably going to be a farming frenzy. Just by having Morgana there, it just makes that lane a farming fest.
Yeah, and something that we were talking about in the break as well is the AoE potential of Dark Passage here is just huge. Also, though, on the flip side, there's a lot of disengage on the cards for Avalanche. So, going forward in this game, I think it's also going to come across to that execution, like who can get the right AoE at the right time. We saw on the previous best of 3 that Coralius is on Sona pulled off some ridiculously good crescendos, and Holy Thoth will be looking to rinse and repeat from that one and see if he can do the same for his team, because you look at the amount of follow-up damage, the amount of follow-up sustain as well, it's quite ridiculous. Morgana, Sona, Graves and Nunu is so much AoE, so much CC.
Yeah, indeed, and not only do they have a good team fight, but they have a very good early game, also in terms of their jungler. Take a look at Jarvan. What's he going to gank? Morgana, you basically just can't gank her as soon as she gets Black Shield. He's going to want to go for the double buff. He can't get level 3 by just going for the double buffs by themselves. He has to pick up a camp, which he's already done. So that's not on the cards for him. Top lane is a potential gank place. Fabulous already picked up the trinket, though, and will be going towards himself. There we go. And in the bot lane, it's going to be very dynamic, but from the purple side, yes, he's got a better gank route, but he's also opted to start blue. So for the early game, Nunu's going to have like a field day.
Yeah, definitely the case, and it's going to be interesting to see how Jarvan the Fourth, how Kumaus really approaches this one. See if he can start to stamp some authority on those lanes and get them snowballing. He's coming to top. NYW is putting down some harassment onto Fabulous, gets the level up just slightly ahead, and Jarvan's going to have to wait there for quite a considerable amount of time before the wave starts pushing.
Yeah, indeed. Level 3 on Fabulous. Will he opt to go for the leap? In fact, he's keeping hold of that point, maybe just to wait and see. He sees that Jarvan and has opted for the leap strike, so it's going to be very difficult to get this gank even rolling in the first place. And Crystal Meth does head up into the top lane to, well, go for the counter gank. There's nowhere else Jarvan can possibly go. It's an easy read.
It is. Crystal Meth's going to be sat in S. Still very strange for me to say, but here comes engaged. Fabulous has been engaged on by both of them. Going to be first blood from Jarvan with the ignite ticking down from Shen. So they get their man, and that patience does prove to be a virtue. Very nice play from Jarvan.
Yeah, indeed, that was a huge amount of burst, and he took all that aggro from the minions. I would have liked to see the death recap from that, because I'm pretty sure at least 200 damage would have come from those minions, especially with the cannon minion there in the lineup. So already, first blood goes down to Avalanche, and Jarvan looking to recreate his success in the mid lane.
Yeah, and as you called before, the Black Shield is pretty much just going to mitigate any flag and drag that comes in from Jarvan, so Morgana is pretty safe in mid, but it's quite low on mana, and about half hit points on the HP, although it's chugging through a health potion right now.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the bot lane, though, follow-up comes in from Lucian. See if they can go all the way. Grassing Roots has already been utilized, and I think Jarvan's too far behind. He flashes. Ooh. Doesn't quite connect the dots.
Flashes and flags, but the drag did not connect. So a bit of egg on the face as he goes back to his own jungle.
Yeah, a little bit of a sad move, but they weren't expecting he comes in again. In fact, he just turns a corner. Oh yeah, new camp. Completely forgot about that. It's actually a very interesting camp. It's very easy for the lanes to react to and pick up, and it also increases kind of like the poaching potential, which they have tried to take away a little bit because of the item changes, but it's still very viable for these lanes. It's also interesting to note that for the jungler, going for that extra camp slows down your jungle clear if you're just looking to clear the jungle and you're playing a farming jungler. It was there for Jarvan, he might as well take it. And he also wants to stick around in the bottom jungle, but it's an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, I think he was of the opinion of if Nunu does come down to bot lane and try to make some plays, I want to be around there, I want to be able to contest it, but of course Nunu is now in mid, trying to get some of this XP and some of the farm to his name. Let's have a look at bot then. We were talking before about how Graves is going to fare against Lucian. Well, right now it's just pretty much neck and neck pulse, there's nothing in it, 1 CS difference.
Yeah, and if that's going to benefit anyone, it will be benefiting Holy Phoenix and his partner of Holy Froth. And this Graves pick, if it pays off, then it will eventually outscale Lucian. He has, well, I wouldn't say better burst, but definitely comparable. But his late game is definitely better. Yes, his extra damage steroid is tied also into his escape, but that's kind of the all-in nature of Graves. And if played correctly, and the fact his front line is amazing, it shouldn't really be too much of an issue.
Yeah, completely agree with that. So a quick look at mid then, because other than that tried gank before from Jarvan, not a great deal's happening there. Morgana 42 to Jace 43, so again, it's just neck and neck. But even with that first blood going down for the side of Avalanche, look at the goal difference. It's pretty much even, right on the money.
Indeed, but take a look at bot lane.
Yeah, bot lane's not looking too good. Crystal Meth running away right now. Kubos has already burnt his flash from that previous engagement. Flashing from Finite, forcing the flash as well from Crystal Meth. So all the summoners being burnt there, and they're going to be backing away. A couple players complaining about high ping though. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, I'll hold the follow-up as well. Stan United comes in from Shen.
Yep, Finite jumping back in with his E, trying to get Shen in close enough to land the taunt, but unfortunately was not able to do so. Now they're either going to have to pick up the dragon or potentially face losing top lane, and they are going to try and get the dragon here, so it's smart play.
Yeah, they left top lane exposed to make that type of play, but it is late enough into the game where they can make this thing happen. Naro trading off against CLG.eu.
Yep, Soul Shackles is not going to be landing as CLG.eu does flash away. Dragon is still up and alive and kicking. He's actually taking a lot of damage right now. Here comes the re-engage, however, from Dark Passage. Two players very low. The Dark Binding will not be landing as Naru is forced to back on away. The Dragon went down to Nunu. Holy Phoenix should be falling down here, or will he? He's able to consistently pull himself back, and that Dragon Strike is going to miss. The flag finally finishes things off, and now looking at Tribrush, two players have just fallen as many seconds. 2-to-1 trade. Crystal Meth should be able to survive with that Black Shield, and indeed will do so.
2-for-1 trade, but the dragon also picked up by Crystal Meth, who just wandered in, took a bite out of it, and walked out again. So fantastic play coming in from Dark Passage, and that's just an annoying thing about Nunu at the moment. He, I feel, is going to be a highly contested pick as players start to feel that pick out.
Yes, indeed. So even though that trade went in favor in terms of kills to Avalanche, they did lose the dragon. So you got to say there, Pulse, that Dark Passage are going to be fairly happy with that outcome.
Yeah, indeed. They just played it very well. They've got the slight advantage in terms of kills, but the game is still incredibly close. And it doesn't really favour either of these teams' metas. We've mentioned they both have incredibly strong team fights, but the disengage might prove to be a little hurtful for Avalanche against the opposing team of Dark Passage. So in the bot lane, Sona picking one of the new items, in fact has that extra charge. And very interesting mechanics in the bot lane. I can see one of the issues being the support executing the minion that will potentially push the wave, but definitely when you communicate that in competitive play, it should be an issue.
I'm just curious as to your thoughts here, Pulse, on late game, and I'm talking 40-50 minutes into the game. Of course, it could be over well and truly before then, but out of these two compositions, I think they're fairly evenly matched. If it does get to those stages, who do you think is going to come out ahead? Which of these team comps really favours the latter stages of this matchup?
I would give it slightly to Avalanche, purely because they have more disengaged, basically Zyra, and they also have the threat of Shen. Well, that's going to revolve around Kha'Zix, essentially. How well could Fabulous do? We know he is the playmaker of the team, one of the reasons why chat is always chanting his name. So as soon as he gets rolling, it's going to spell difficult times for Shen to get himself rolling. He's 20 CS behind, but has the assist up on top of him, and he's really unable to start. Yes, he can out-trade Fabulous, but he can't stop him from farming, and that's very important. Jarvan doesn't really have anywhere to go, and he's going to be the major factor in top lane, but he just can't afford to go for ganks because Nunu will destroy his jungle.
Yeah, that is the problem, that as soon as I see Jarvan, just watch for Nunu going in to steal the likes of red, the likes of blue, and of course the new camp that has been put in this patch. But Lucian and Zyra are going to be back on their own tower. This is maybe going to kind of put Dark Passage in a more passive position at bot lane, because if Nunu does come down right now, they don't want to be too close to the tower. Otherwise, Nunu's going to be fairly useless. He doesn't have a great deal of CC.
Yeah, mid lane though.
Yeah, here comes a Stan United on mid lane from Kubios. He should be going down. In fact, CLG.eu's going to fall, and Naru refuses to go down. He could be chased down. Dark Passage has been used here. I say dark passage, dark binding I should say. Now Kubos could be falling as well. Somehow Morgana is still alive and Shen is being smacked upon by the towers. My goodness, that did not pay off at all for Avalanche. They lose 2 players without any retaliation.
Insane mechanical play comes out from Morgana, and we could see a repeat in the bot lane. In fact, they back up behind their second inner turret, and this should be an easy bottom lane tower.
How did Naru survive that though, Pulse? I honestly thought that he was dead and buried underneath his tower.
Yeah, Morgana is deceptively tanky, and plus the black shield, the CC that they really counted on, they knew that they had the AD damage to essentially cut through that, but they just underestimated the kiting potential of Naru, and also Fabulous came in to clean up, and that didn't help matters at all.
Yeah, so first tower has just fallen, as we were talking there, to Dark Passage at the bot lane. Mid lane is also very low, 259 hit points remaining on that. Let's have a quick look at top. Top's also low, so just across the board, Dark Passage getting the upper hand in terms of pushing their lanes out. And before that point, Avalanche were looking in a pretty good position. It was 3-1 in their favor, but they did lose the Dragons. They were slightly behind on gold. But now with those 2 kills coming in, Morgana's just accelerated pretty fast, and Nunu has also got himself in contention. So just all around bad news from Avalanche's perspective.
Yeah, now the fact that Dark Passage has started edging ahead, they can start making these brute force plays, which is so commonplace with these big team fight compositions. And yes, they still have disengage of Zyra, they have decent wave clear in fact in the form of Lucian and also CLG's Jace, which might be a little bit of an issue when it comes to sieging, and they also have good lockdown underneath turret. But as soon as they get to the stage where they can just tank turrets, and they're running Nunu, who basically his objective in life is to be a really annoying, basically build tanky, run around the map, and as a result of him being so tanky, he'll be the tower diver, so they'll be able to hit that stage sooner, metas, and sooner they'll be able to force teamfight into places where they'll start having to concede turrets as a result.
Well, speaking of team fights, Dragon is up in 40 seconds. So that is going to give enough time for Shen's ultimate to come off cooldown, so they may very well try some plays. You can see 3 players grouped up here in the bottom bush, Finite, Kubos, and also Roldo. So again, they may be trying to get some picks, and there's no ward down, so if Holy Phoenix goes slightly too aggressive, watch for the Jarvan gank, watch for the Stranglethorns afterwards. That's enough burst potentially to pick them up, but Holy Phoenix's spidey senses are tingling. He's not pushing too fast forward.
Yeah, he's got to be fast on that trigger on his quick draw, living up to its name, hopefully from Holy Phoenix. Also, with the crescendo from Holy Froth, they're going to have to CC both of them, essentially, and Crystal Meth, I think he's aware of this, and they clear out the ward as well. Don't know if they still know where Jarvan is, they go for the engage.
Yeah, here it comes, Cataclysm as well, with beautiful crescendo, locking down Finite, Stranglethorns on top of that, and the culling as well. Stand United comes in, as I was talking about previously, so they do pick up this first kill, and the blink of an eye turns into a 4 versus 2. They are now chasing after Shen, locking him down very quickly. Morgana coming around from the side, so can Naru rinse and repeat and make some big plays happen? Soul Shackle's in, gonna take down Shen, no chance for Roldo to survive this onslaught. He'll be falling as well, flash in, and the Dark Binding. Finite has the ignite, double kill coming in for Graves. Beautiful turnaround, but now here comes CLG and Kubos again. They are looking to answer the call from their fallen teammates. Dark Passage are looking so good though as that Dark Binding lands from Naru, and they should be able to get back. They're thinking about the Dragon. They need to be careful though from Jace.
You don't really see Morgana as kind of a character that requires a lot of skill. It's just like, it's the Dark Binding into Tormented Soil, and then you auto-attack them. And sometimes you Soul Shackle, but the mechanical skill from Naru this game has been ridiculous, metas. So many times he set up kills for his team, made those big plays, got the turnaround in bot lane, and the fact that they didn't really know the potential of Morgana made them hesitate into a bad position. It was like, should we re-engage? It's still 4 versus 3. That hesitation from Avalanche, which kind of represented the fact they're a team who have not been together long against a long-standing team of Dark Passage, made that snap decision and committed to it hard.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head. It's just a difference in experience, it's a difference in synergy. Avalanche are playing well. Individually, they're clearly very good players, but you are just seeing that clarity in decision making coming through from Dark Passage, being in the right place at the right time, backing one another up, and also on top of everything else, Kubos wasted a lot of time at bot lane trying to set that gank up, and it completely backfired. So it's not just a case of the fact that they went 2 or 3 kills behind on a Dragon, it's also the case that Jarvan fell pretty far behind Nunu just by waiting down there. You can see Jarvan just dinged up to 8, whereas Nunu is already level 9, nearly level 10.
One of the bigger things and more subtle things about that team fight, though, is they brought Shen down using Stand United, so they had the numbers advantage, meaning that, yes, Kazakhstan take up the top turret, that's great, but the fact that they were outnumbered and still lost, that's very scary for this stage in the game metas. It means they can't stand toe-to-toe, even when they have the significant advantage, meaning for the next Dragon fight, it already shows the pace of this game. And if they're losing even without the playmaker of Fabulous, what's going to happen when he joins the fray as well?
Exactly, and this has also allowed Fabulous to get some free farm at top lane and start to get pretty scary. Sunfire Cape first is an interesting pickup. Bot lane though, look at the burst damage. Just switched in time to see Zyra get crushed. That's going to be Jace coming out from the backside though, and it's going to be the shutdown on Jace. So that is going to be Holy Phoenix falling, Cataclysm in from Kubos, and all the damage from Fire with the Culling going to be picking that kill up again. So they have managed to flick this one back on its head. However, they do not have an objective to pick up, so it's just going to be a 2-for-1 trade. Now,
it was a fast rotation and very smoothly executed, so that shows the mechanical skill coming in from the team. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Shen is slowly being whittled down by Fabulous. That kind of shows the state of the top lane as well.
Well, I said they don't have an objective to go for, but they went hell for leather for that tower, and they do pick it up because it was just Nunu, just Crystal Meth trying to stop them from batting that one down. But this is allowing Morgana to pretty much push uncontested through the mid against Zyra, who is 3 levels below Naru right now. So one Dark Bind lands, going to be a very painful situation for Aldo to deal with, and now Morgana looks to be backing on away.
Yeah, indeed. It's kind of... It's a bit difficult from Dark Passage right now because they realize, yes, we're stronger in team situations, but we're less mobile than Jace. Jace, if he leaves the lane, Morgana, great, she can push, but they just need one person, and in that case, it was the support, which made it very difficult for her to go even further. Another good rotation comes in from Avalanche, and they pick up yet another turret. We see the big rotations coming in, just paying dividends for them because of their increased mobility. We're going to need to see Dark Passage kind of make that brute force play we talk about, where they just go for some objective.
Yeah, exactly, and it's great as well to see Avalanche doing this because they're keeping themselves in this game. Yes, they're behind on gold, yes, they're behind on towers and kills, but still, they're in this matchup. They are clawing on. CLG.eu does land, get himself, I should say, landing a Dark Binding and also the Tormented Soil afterwards, so he takes quite a bit of chunk damage, and with that being the case and Kubos being low as well, Pulse, they could look to try and just push this mid tower down.
Yeah, and they're doing exactly what we just said. They've committed Fabulous into this fight. If he can get that one kill onto Jade, he's the reset for Kazakhs. But in fact, they just pick up the middle turret, quite aware of the fact they don't want to be cleaned up, especially by a Kazakhs, and they pick up a free tower in return. However, Shen was able to retort in the top lane.
Yeah, he was, but I would definitely say that, you know, that trade certainly works out for Dark Passage more, because taking a mid-inner tower is much more worth than a top-outer tower. So that's going to give them a lot more presence in the enemy jungle for both the red and blue side, and now pushing down bot. So I like that Dark Passage at just 19 minutes through are clumping together and really forcing this one home. They do not want to let up, they're going for the jugular.
Yeah, indeed, and they're making sure that they control this vision, and they're very controlled about doing so. However, rotation comes in around the side. We could see the initiation opening up.
Yeah, Jace going in hard on Naru, but here comes the crescendo on the Soul Shackles as well. Only going to be landing on one player though, both those ultimates that could prove to be detrimental to their team. Jarvan's taking a lot of damage though, so he's not going to be able to be that frontline tankiness that we all expect him to be, but at the end of all of that action, no players falling. Lots of ultimates, lots of summoners burnt in the process.
For Dark Passage really to start getting kills, they just need to pick up one person and they can go all the way. We could see a second team fight opening up.
Stand United on CLG.eu, who was caught from that Dark Binding. Here comes Jace from the side, and Jarvan as well. It will be a kill onto Kazakhs, but at what cost? Because now Naru's managed to actually go backwards, firing up the Dark Binding. Does land that one on. It's going to be Shen finishing off Graves with the Vorpal Blade. So 2 for 2, 4 players dying in total. And yeah, Dark Passage, low hit points, just going to have to back away from this one. Dragon's up in 25 seconds.
Yeah, and they're going to wait around for it. In fact, Lucian, well, okay, they're going to wait the full 20 seconds. That means that they could have the potential of overstaying, especially if Nunu just decides to build Mobility Home God. In fact, he has done. We'll see if he can get there in time. 10 seconds left, and it will take them time to take down the Dragon, but they have a very good team for taking down objectives like Baron and also Dragon, especially when you have Zara and also Lucian in the mid-game. We'll see what Nunu can do.
Yeah, he is one of the masters at stealing away objectives, and he's just going to be walking in there, just strutting his stuff, and everyone's like, oh crap, it's a Nunu. We better back on away. Dark Binding goes through, not going to land from Naru, who's had a brilliant game up until this point. Tormented Soil goes down as well, and they look to have repelled Avalanche for now from this dragon, and the fact that there's a couple of low planes, they may actually turn this one back around. That being said though, Shen has found himself caught out of position. Kha'Zix comes in, tries to steal away that blue buff, forcing with a flag and drag. Looks like they have pushed him away just for now. Shen's now all by his lonesome, will be taunting through the wall and should be okay, but that I think is going to be a free dragon now for Dark Passage.
Yeah, that's their prize, or maybe even Jarvan.
Wow. Well, goodbye, Jarvan.
Not very much to comment on that one, Messers. 4 versus 5. Maybe it's time just to back on off. They can't afford any more casualties, but they could also commit this Shen into the mid lane. Fabulous. He needs to make sure he does not get his reset.
Yep, so that is going to be a dragon. Kha'Zix jumping back onto Roldo. So much burst, forcing away that flash. Is he going to go deep for the kill? No, he will not. Still successful in terms of Zyra has no flash, so you catch her later on in about a minute or so time, it's going to be pretty much a free kill.
Indeed, and it's kind of funny we keep talking about Kha'Zix. It's like, why are you talking about Kha'Zix? He's fairly behind right now. He's slightly ahead of Shen, but not by much. He's 1-2 and 2. But as soon as Kha'Zix picks up 1 kill, his base damages are so high, he doesn't really need to itemize that much damage. In fact, he's gone for the Sunfire Cape as a result, picked up the Brutalizer, and that's all he really needs in terms of damage. Pick up 1 kill and you pick up the rest. So that's what makes Kha'Zix such a scary threat on the battlefield. But the longer this game goes on, Metas, and the longer he doesn't get those resets, Shen will slowly edge ahead. He'll start catching up, and then when he gets ahead, he'll start to become a serious issue. But Morgana is a very good tool to just completely stymie that push.
I think one of the main issues, though, from the side of Avalanche is that if Shen goes to split push, as so many Shens do, Naru is so big at this point that if Naru lands a Dark Binding and the Soul Shackles, it looks to be what's exactly happening at the top lane right now. But he's going to be caught out from the Flag and Drag and also from CLG.eu. So Naru has played so well up until this point, does have the Zhonya's Hourglass, but should be falling down. Roldo's there as well. Does finally go down. What I was going to say is that if Morgana hard engages in mid, for example, while Shen is top, the Stand United just may not be enough absorption from that shield pulse. May just die through that.
Yeah, that was a long time they committed to Morgana, and it was a shame that they didn't have anyone else to capitalize. Reminds me of a play we saw a couple of days ago in which one of the teams committed so hard to Shen that they just took a Baron on top of it. I believe it was like Freddy 1-2-2, I believe it was that game. And if they continue to do that, like Morgana's at the stage where she can literally 2 versus 1, so they need to make that huge commitment. So even though she died right there, they have that knowledge that Morgana is incredibly strong even by herself in that many versus 1 scenario.
Yeah, it was the SK-Gaming matchup that we watched when Shen was at bot and he tanked long enough to allow the rest of his team to pick up Baron. So it was very reminiscent of that, but unfortunately the team was not able to jump on top of an objective. It will give Naru a bit of, you know, a tug at his backside and say, look dude, you're not that strong just yet, you're not quite Rambo status, so don't go off by yourself when you don't know where the rest of their team are, because a lot of people get this with Jax as well. It's like Jax syndrome. As soon as you start to get a few kills, suddenly you think that you're infallible. They are pushing down mid though, Paulson. I'm not too sure if Dark Passage want to engage this or just pick up the free tower.
Well, Avalanche getting themselves into a bad situation where they're stuck into the side and Kha'Zix picks up one.
Wow, his damage is so huge. Crescendo whiffs though, so he should be okay to escape this one. Do they want to re-engage off the back of it though? Probably not likely. Nice spawn. Here comes the ultimate, the absolute zero from Crystal Meth. Culling as well from the backside, courtesy of Lucian. They have taken down the AD carry of Holy Phoenix, but here comes the Soul Shackles. Naru's going to be crushing, forcing the flash from Finite. Otherwise, he certainly would have died from that position. But now Shen is the focus. It's going to be falling to the snowball from the Nunu, and that's going to be a 3-for-1 with this inhibitor falling afterwards.
Oh man, Dark Passage's team fights are so incredibly slick. Those ultimates used in tandem to sort of split everyone up and make sure Kha'Zix has an easy time to pick up one after another. Graves, if he had not fallen there, that could have easily been the ace and maybe even a Nexus turret. But even so, that's something for Avalanche to be concerned about. The fact that if they want to fight, they have to take those ultimates basically to the face. And as a result, they are starting to itemize a lot of defenses, because that's essentially what they have to do to survive these team fights. They have to get tanky enough to just tank through it.
Yeah, and do they have enough time to get tanky enough though, Pulse? Because they've already lost that mid inhib. They're already falling further and further behind. Over 7,000 gold now, and lots of items being finished off onto the side of Dark Passage. Lots of gold as well. Rabadon's death cap has just been finished from Morgana. 2.6k on Kha'Zix as the last whisper comes out as well from Graves. So there's so many spikes in damage right now from Dark Passage, and if they couldn't deal with it before, how the hell can they now?
Indeed, and something else I just noticed about the team composition is because they're not using Nunu ultimate at the same time as Morgana, so it's just like, okay, now we back off, then we disengage. The fact that they're doing one after another allows Naru to use his Black Shield on Nunu, meaning they can't interrupt the ultimate as fast as they would have liked with their CC, so they have to make these huge commitments to the wrong priority target, and that's also causing issues in these team fights.
Well, they attempted a Baron for a few moments there until the Dark Passage mid laner. I keep mixing up Dark Passage and Dark Binding. It's such a strange one for me, Pulse. My brain can't compute. But the Dark Binding went through from Naru, and I thought for a second they may engage off it, but not quite the case. They're pinging down towards blue, and this is one of the main detriments of losing your outer mid towers. Is just blue buff is never going to be yours. Naru's going to pick this up, and it's pretty hurtful for the mid laner here of CLG.eu.
Yeah, as soon as the inhib goes down, you basically concede your entire jungle. However, the tension is building. One piece of CC could be the catalyst for a team fight, but with 30 seconds left on the Dragon, there's no reason for Dark Passage to go anywhere else, and indeed, they will just be sitting in the bot lane.
Yeah, this is just smart. Push bot lane. If you can get a pick with Kha'Zix, who's doing massive amounts of chunk damage now with Last Whisper and Brutalizer. And if they don't come for you, you just get a free tower. So whichever way you look at it, it's very good. Dark Bindings landed on Roldo, and the ultimate, the collateral damage from Graves will be chunking down Roldo. And actually, with that pickup, all the damage being put down, they're now going to get free harass on the tower. 50% of it has just disintegrated.
Yeah, indeed, and they can't afford to just sit here forever. Avalanche got the super minions in the mid lane. As a result, also the top lane is indeed pushing, and they haven't been able to commit anyone to that soon. Indeed, those minions haven't gotten any stronger, but there is a minion wave there regardless. They have to go for this engage one way or another.
Crescendo lands on both Syra and also Jarvan. Instantly, Syra gets popped. Here's the reset from Fabulous. He jumps back out again. He will manage to survive. Soul Shackles comes through. Such damage being output from Dark Passage. Although Naru does take a ton of damage for her troubles, but still Crystal Math goes back in. It's kind of an in-out, shake-it-all-about situation here as the players go in, do damage, run away, go in, do damage, run away again. But at the result of this, it's a 1-for-2 trade. That's going to be the second inhib tower falling, and the third player as well as CLG.eu goes down. Nexus towers have actually took a battering, one of which is about to fall, but Lucian's now running in from the spawn. Roldo putting down the grasping roots, which will not be landing, and they're actually going pretty low, so they could repel the invaders for now. MYW eats a Dark Binding for his troubles. Holy Dog gets taunted. Here's the Dark Shield, however, the Black Shield is going to be running away. Dark Binding lands again, hit for Holy Phoenix from the side. They pick up one kill. Holy Phoenix is going to get a second as well before the Syra passive takes down Kha'Zix, and now it's all about how mechanically skilled is Holy Phoenix. Can he out damage Kubos? It looks likely. Morgana's picked up a double kill, forcing that flag and drag away, and my goodness, I need to catch my breath, Pulse.
Yeah, indeed, Holy Phoenix is still keeping up the chase. Collateral damage comes in, picks up the kill, but meanwhile, the fight was so long, Jace has come back in.
He has returned from spawn to get the shutdown, but that's going to be another dragon now to Dark Passage.
Indeed, and this seems to be another recurring theme of the recent season metas. We have these such prolonged team fights because so many teams are running such good disengage compositions, and individually as characters, we just see the fights never ending, and people start respawning and coming back into the fight, especially when you're fighting in their base. So, it looks like we're going to need more play-by-play casters.
We could need 4 or 5 at this point to take it in turns, because it has just been back and forth action. That is more than a kill a minute, so 34 kills in 30 minutes is pretty beefy. But it's just the fact that these team fights seem to last forever, where it's not just the case that one team gets burst down, that these long drawn out fights that seem to last forever, and all of the mechanical skill from both teams are just shining through. Holy Phoenix there survived about 5 or 10 seconds longer than he should have done against Jarvan. It was quite ridiculous.
It's really fun to watch though, because you start seeing the pure mechanical skill from the players when you get into these kind of micro fights towards the end, when everyone's going in the 1 versus 1s and the 2 versus 2s. You can see the mechanical skill more clearly than just a straight up brawl with all the AoE ultimates coming in. But still, Dark Pass has played these team fights so incredibly well, and right now Avalanche don't have any answer to the strong AoE combination. Oh, they can't afford to have their support picked here either.
Yeah, and the Strangle Thorns was used as well for absolutely nothing. So are they going to jump on this? That being said though, a bit of a silver lining here from Avalanche is that Kha'Zix was picked up as well, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. However, Holy Phoenix has the Guardian's Angel, so it's going to be very difficult to take down twice, but if he's tanking 3 players with his face, that's going to be pretty easy to do. Beautiful crescendo though from Holy Thorn, keeps his AD carry alive just for a tiny bit longer. They're going to be re-engaging this as well, Crystal Meth taking the forefront. Holy Phoenix is doing damage from the Dragon Pit, but there's the chunk from CLG.eu at range with the Shock Blast. Now chasing after Holy Thorn and Crystal Meth. Crystal Meth is going to be very difficult to chase down though with the Blood Foil, so they're probably going to go for Soda, and they indeed will get that kill.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a very messy fight, but that's what Avalanche has to go for. That is their perfect team fight right there, where they can't chain these ultimates together, and they can't go for these types of team fights, and it looks like they'll just straight up go for that reaction play onto the Baron. Pause timer comes in, and Crystal Meth might be re-evaluating his position on the map right now. With the knowledge, they have all those wards en route towards the Baron. We could see him just straight up reacting. He might even recall. He can probably make it to Baron in time.
That's very true, you know, because Crystal Meth and Nunu are just so fast, so Boots of Mobility plus Blood Boil, he's going to be making good time, especially with Home Guard Boots. I think it's definitely possible. Naru has just quit the game, so he's DC'd, so that's one of the reasons why we do have this pause right now. But interestingly enough, Pulse, even though Avalanche were looking completely down and out, after winning that last team fight, that's going to give them a new breath of fresh air here, and they're probably going to come back thinking we've still got a chance. Yes, we lost 2 inhibs, but they've both spawned now. Yes, we're about 10k behind. They're not going to know exactly how much, but they're going to guess around this vicinity. So they're going to be feeling a bit more confident. They've got a chance.
Indeed, it was a very clutch team fight, and it was something that they can't bet on happening every single team fight, but it worked out right now, and they have another 20 to 30 seconds left on the death timers. Had Nunu died in that engagement, no, that would have been such an easy Baron just to go for and say this is entirely safe. Even with Fabulous on the board, he's an AD dealer, he's not an AP carry. He can't just go into the pit and expect to blow everyone up, such as the triple kill we saw from Ari from Sebix the other day metas. So we're not going to be seeing anything like that, but with Nunu on the board, it makes the Baron play just a little bit riskier. It is a bit of a shame because that might have been the turning point of this game, but honestly at this stage, they should just go for it.
Yeah, they don't have much to lose because they are well and truly behind. And in a 5 versus 5 fight there, they did come out ahead, but it wasn't necessarily 5 versus 5. And what I mean by that is the entirety of Dark Passage tunnel visioned on killing Zyra, while the entirety of Avalanche tunnel visioned on killing Kha'Zix. That's a good trade for Avalanche. Losing a top for a support is definitely worth it. So again, in that close claustrophobic environment, once Kha'Zix was no longer a problem, that pretty much put Avalanche in pole position. However, are they going to make the same mistake again, Dark Passage? I'm not too sure. I think they'd have learnt from that.
Indeed, it's basically, can they keep making them stumble and keep going for those types of engagements? Can they keep finding someone off guard? And at that stage you'd be like, well, they should just cover their jungle and wards, but you can't do that anymore because it's Season 4 preseason. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going to see from these teams, but definitely clumping up more and trying to maintain that vision advantage will be key to their victory. 4 seconds left on the resume, and we're back into the game.
And I think another thing as well, I'm going to keep an eye on Baron because it is being pinged here from both teams, but another issue there was Holy Phoenix is a really good AD carry, so I'm not ragging on him here, but his positioning in that last fight with Guardian's Angel tanking 3 players with his face was definitely not a smart move, and he did get pushed out there into the Dragon area. He did a nice job of bringing it back, but still, that could have proved to be pretty important. That being said though, that Baron has been started off, CLG going to get chunked down from Fabulous. Baron is not going down too quick, so this is really scary. They do get the kill on Kha'Zix. Beautiful reactions from MYW with a stand united onto the Jace, but still Baron is not falling very quickly here, Pulse.
Yeah, and it gives Nunu enough time to be like, well, it's going to die just about now, and he'll walk in at some point very, very soon looking for that smite. In fact, Jarvan gets it.
He does. Here comes the Soul Shackles from Morgana, but how much damage can they do? If they pull off an ace off the back of this, it's well and truly worth it, but they don't have the burst. Flag and Dragon again from Kubos. The rest of his team are backing away. Dark Binding has landed, however, and the Tormented Soil. Can Morgana pick up this kill? Has the red buff consistently slowing down Jarvan, but again, he is going to be able to make his escape.
Yeah, they actually disengaged a lot faster before they could go for the full-on commitment. Collateral damage comes through. They keep up with the chase.
Oh, Smoke Shield so nearly picks up the kill. There we go. Last auto attack will seal the deal. And now Holy Phoenix, Holy Thorp, and Naru are pushing down this tower. They're going to take it. So you get the Baron, but you pay with it with a couple players' life and a tower. Nice reactions there. A nice turnaround from Dark Passage. Yeah,
Dark Passage have just realized, hey, we don't even need to seize this turret. They have 2 open inhibs. They'll go into the mid lane. And still, with Jace now coming out of the spawn, it's going to be 4 versus 5, but still, players from Dark Passage are trickling in, and they can't quite go for it.
So you're seeing here how aggression and how pushing constantly can prove to be such a big determining factor in League of Legends, because even when they got the Baron, Avalanche was still not able to pick up a single tower off that. They've still only got 3. So even if they do manage to get an ace on Dark Passage, they cannot finish the game. They may not even be able to pick up an inhibitor off the back of it. So again, you're seeing here how aggression, how pushing aggressively will definitely pay out for your team going later into the matchup.
Yeah, indeed. And now we have the Baron up team, or at least 3 of the players from Avalanche. It's going to make it more difficult for Dark Passage just to say, okay, well, now we can just go for this engagement on one of their inhibitors and just open up an opportunity for ourselves. It's not going to be that clean cut anymore. And they'll probably just play it conservatively. Dragon's going to be up in a minute. I'd be surprised if they just play it that conservatively, but they don't have anything really to risk right now. There's no reason to try and end the game, especially when they're only really going to get stronger. You'll scale up just as fast as the opponent.
Alright, well, let's have a quick look at some of the items here, Paul, so we have a lull in the action. Not a great deal is happening here. Is there anything that is standing out to you at this point? Because to me it looks fairly standard overall. Support items, obviously, are always going to be quite interesting because there's so many new ones to really discuss.
Yeah, there's so many I can't even remember all the names matters, and it will take a long time to really understand the mechanics of the support items. Oh my god, the damage onto Roldo, though, just from that single combination from Morgana, is going to make that entire team of Avalanche recall.
Yeah, they have to go back. They can't afford to get a free pick. Or be the recipients of a free pick, I should say, because that could very easily escalate into at least one inhibitor falling. So, playing safe here, going back to heal up, and coming back to fight for another day. I'm a bit worried here for Avalanche, because Shen is not going to be able to be a determining factor if he's at bot lane. Even if he stand United's in, if they just focus that target pulse, they'll kill the target, and then Shen's just stuck at bot lane. So they are going to be backing away.
Yes, Shen is hitting issues at the moment because his team are doing well, but they're not significantly ahead. So, essentially, no matter who they commit to him, they can either duel him, stop him from teleporting out, or just stop him from pushing entirely. They don't have a teleport on the team that's really going to pay off, especially if they start pressuring Baron, but the fact that they're too far behind means that they can't make that type of play. It's going to get to the stage, though, where it's probably going to come down to a pick here, Metas. The fact that neither of these teams can just straight on 5-on-5 engage and ensure that they'll get the victory, it'll come down to everyone rotating, looking to get the vision control, and it's looking for that stray support, as we saw earlier, and just hoping that Falpavalis doesn't get caught in the meantime.
I feel a lot of this is going to come down to Naru. If he can land a Dark Binding, watch for Holy Thoth flashing in and Crescendo. I think that's going to be their green light to go in and try and make plays. On the other side, though, I'm not too sure where it's going to come from. Maybe a flash engage from Shenchu has been caught out of position, though. Absolute Zero was used from Crystal Meth, forcing that flash away. Here we go, though. MYW is going to be jumping in the middle. Stranglethorn's used as well, and Holy Phoenix is getting crushed. So again, his Guardian Angel's not going to be very useful here. Kha'Zix's going back in. Soul Shackles as well from Naru. Holy Phoenix finally comes back up again. So can he start to get some of that health back? He's going to be going on to MYW, has the red buff and the Last Whisper, plus the Infinity Edge and Bloodthirst. He's going to crush through Shen. And what looked like a pretty good engage for a few moments there from Avalanche, this suddenly turned in for a 2-0 trade against them.
In fact, it looked really nasty, but they go for the jump onto Jarvan, pick themselves up another kill, collapse onto Roldo, and Holy Phoenix, he's no way he's not going to pick up this kill.
Double kill for Kha'Zix. That's a 4 for 0 as Zyra's passive reigns through, and they actually could finish the game off this.
Yeah, it looks very likely. Culling not available to Lucian. He can't effectively clear the minion wave by himself. This looks to be the GG. Fantastic engagement from Dark Patcher. Despite a lot of lackluster ultimates, honestly, it would look like the turning point for Avalanche, but the sheer damage output from Holy Phoenix came through. With the 29-18, the 10-3 on the towers, and the GG, the first game of this best-of-3 series.
Yeah, congratulations to Dark Passage, but this is just the first out of potential 3, so it's by no means over just yet. Avalanche can claw their way back into this pulse. They showed a lot of resilience and resistance in that game, so they could bounce back in game number 2.
Yeah, indeed. From what we've seen, they have very similar playstyles. We have seen very little of Avalanche Prime's new lineup. In fact, they're completely new, so we have no idea what to expect, apart from the fact they are very mechanically skilled by themselves. We'll see what they can bring in the second game of this best-of-3.
Yes, but before then, guys, while we're setting up the new lobby, why not put yourself in contention to win a G300 gaming mouse? All you need to do is very simple, is type in Twitch chat, !giveaway, and you'll be told the next steps of what you need to do. So while you're doing that, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and when we rejoin, will be live for game number 2.